What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Roman's Creative Academy. I am your host, Jay.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are going to talk about rent to own or lease options and 3 ways you can profit off of them.
This method is one of our favorites. Reason being is for a normal single family, sometimes you only have 1 to 2 options to make a very small return while also still having all the responsibility as the homeowner and landlord. While with rent to own, we have infinite returns on every single one of ours while having no maintenance or responsibility to that home.
So he just said something where it's like you get a little bit of cash flow. Mike, and this depends on your market, but what is the average cash flow that we've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. So it really depends on the market, the price range of the home, things of that nature. But for a normal long-term rental here in our market in Pennsylvania, people who set aside for reserves, property management, all of those things, we've seen people make as low as $100 a month. And sometimes on the max end, if it's, a pretty solid deal, maybe $300 a month. $300 a month is not going to make you rich, and $100 a month is honestly not worth the headache whatsoever, because being a landlord, having rentals is sometimes not all it's cracked up to be. You can say that you have 40 doors, 50 doors, but are you only making a couple $100 per month? Is it really worth all of that in the end?
And if you have a maintenance request, all that cash flow throughout the year could go in one shot.
Yep, absolutely. So at the end of the year, you've maybe made a couple $1,000s in cash flow, and you have one repair, it's gone in its entirety.
So bonus tip, every year make sure that you're making money on your rentals, not losing money.
Take it from us from experience, because we still have rentals, right? But we also have rent-to-owns. And our rent-to-owns on a year-by-year, day-by-day, like I'm even talking day-by-day, blow our other rentals out of the water. Yep. Like by a landslide. It's not even comparable.
So let's get right into it, because I bet all of you are wondering, okay, what is rent to own? I thought that has a bad stigma. Like, people don't want to do that. You're crooks. No. We do it differently. So, Mike, why don't we explain a little bit what rent to own actually is?
Yeah, absolutely. So rent to own is the method of basically, you go out, and instead of finding a tenant who's just going to rent from you and pay you monthly rent every month, you go out and find what's called a tenant buyer. Somebody who is going to rent the home from you until they can get qualified for a mortgage and purchase the home from you down the road in the future. During that time frame, which we help them achieve through different methods such as credit repair and all of those things, right? They rent the home from us. The payments they give us do not go towards the purchase price, right? And they are responsible for all maintenance, utilities, all of that stuff. So at the end of the day, they are almost treated as the full homeowner, but without having that benefit of home ownership just yet.
Yep. And then, so Mike said something there is like they are renting from us. Rent is just rent. And then there's also other ways that we capitalize or make money on a rent to own.
Absolutely. And just to give you an idea, what are the best types of homes or properties to do rent to own on? Yes, you can do rent to own on any property. There is no parameters or legalities to stop you from doing it in any form, but the one that it works best with is single family homes. We all know what single family homes, because there's only one tenant in there, there's only one income source from that property, you have to find creative ways in order to maximize your profit on that and reduce your liability and your risk. So, Jay, what are some 3 ways that you can capitalize a single-family property with rent-to-own?
So the first one being the non-refundable down payment. So what that means is they're giving you a down payment to be able to move into the home with the expectation that they're going to buy you out down the road. And like I said, it is non-refundable. So if at whatever point they decide not to purchase the house from you, they understand, hey, this is non-refundable. We had an agreement here.
Absolutely. And why is this better than collecting a security deposit from a tenant, right? For a tenant, You collect a security deposit, maybe first and last month's rent. If they move out and they destroy the home and you are only charging them $1,300 a month for rent, you only have $1,300 that you can withhold from them. And we all know $1,300 in today's market maybe buys you a stove and a fridge. Everything else is on you. You're out of pocket. All those reserves that you saved up over time, they're gone in one shot on that turnover. Where with rent to own, we're collecting down payments of anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000, right? That money comes to us, right? We can now use that money to roll it into a different property because we don't have to hang on to it, right? And now that tenant is going to take way better care of that home because they have money invested in it, right? When a tenant is only giving you 1 month's rent as a security deposit, right? They don't have as much on the line. So if they don't take care of the home, which they're not going to, right, then you are left with something that you need to put work into. We've had tenant buyers in the past, and we're going to get into some of this, but have treated the home like it's their beauty, prize, and joy, and we have one right now. Love them so much. And then we had other tenant buyers who didn't. But at the end of the day, we still had that down payment once they left that we had to be able to put into the home as renovations. And then we just find another one who gives us another down payment, right? The second way to capitalize and make money on a rent-to-own home and a single family is with your monthly cash flow. With rent-to-own, we're able to ask for market rent or adjusted market rent, meaning we can even ask for it a little bit over, right? Now, let's just say that tenant buyer can't give you the 10% down that you're requiring. Maybe they can only give you 5% or 10%. Well, they have to make up that other percentage amount to be able to purchase the home from you using a mortgage in the future, right? So how do we make up that difference? And it's not only a benefit to them, but to you as the homeowner, right? We have a non-refundable option deposit down payment program. That's a mouthful. That down payment program or assistance program basically means that they are able to pay anything over the monthly rent that they can afford, right? That's still within their budget. And anything over that monthly market rent that we are charging as the base will be applied towards the down payment in the future. So it'll accumulate in a so-called account, right? Now, what does that do for you as the homeowner, right? We'll give you a prime example. We have a home that we were asking $1,500 a month in rent, which is market rent over there. The tenant buyer wasn't able to give us the $25,000 that we were asking. They were only able to give us $15,000. So we said, okay, no problem. We have an assistance program. What is the most that you could pay over the monthly rent? They said within our budget, we could pay you $300 over. Well, now guess what? We just increased our monthly cash flow by $300, right? So now instead of net making $350, me and Jay, we make $650 in net. That's net cash flow every month off of this one single family. Even better, when we bought the home, we used creative financing.
I was just going to say, coupled with creative financing.
It's deadly. We had to put $14,000 down with closing costs and a small down payment to the seller. We recouped our initial investment without using that crappy burst strategy, right? By getting that down payment from the tenant buyer, we got our investment back. We now have no money in the deal, and we're making net $650 profit per month. Now, Jay, what's the last option or the last way that we're going to make money on our rent-to-owns and the ways that you can too?
That is when they buy us out, or our buyout check. And this one's really interesting and a lot of people don't think about. So make sure you pay attention here.
Absolutely. So what is that back-end check, right? So let's just say you buy a home for $100,000. Maybe in today's market, it's only worth $120,000. You're not going to sell them the home based on today's value, right? They're going to have the option to purchase the home, which is what a rent-to-own or a lease option is, at a price that it makes sense and that is agreed upon by all parties. That purchase price typically is marked up based on the appreciation rate in the area and how soon based on their overall picture, they can buy the home from you. So we have a tenant buyer who needed about 3 years to get us cashed out. So we marked up the home based on the appreciation rate in the area by 3 years, and that was the option price that they can purchase the home from us for, right? So now you're forcing building in equity without having to do anything.
And that's not counting debt pay down.
Correct. So over these 3 years, not only are we making a net monthly profit of $650 on one of these homes that we have, but they're paying the mortgage down. On top of that, coupled with creative financing, that mortgage rate that we have is 2.7%. So you can imagine how fast that mortgage principal amount is dropping every month with that payment, which is now being paid by the rent-to-own buyer. So we're now building in more equity, not only by upping the purchase price, but by also them paying down our loan.
So those are the 3 ways that you can profit off of a single family, right? So you're probably thinking, okay, Mike, Jay, what paperwork do I need for this? We're going to tell you.
Absolutely.
Number 1, you need a residential lease, right? And then you're going to give them an option to purchase the home.
That is what is called a lease option.
We typically give our students examples of what these look like because, of course, me in the legal world, a residential lease is going to be tailored to wherever the home is. So there are certain things that you look for, you have in there, because with a rent-to-own, it's a bit different. So our students kind of get that little bonus in there. But basically, that is what you would be using for a lease option or a rent-to-own.
Yep.
Now, one thing I want to say is, like, Mike, Jay, what if they can't buy the house from you, right?
No problem. If they can't buy the house from you at the end of the term, you have 2 options. This is where rent-to-own gets a bad stigma. This is where your moral compass and your business etiquette and ethics come in. At the end of that term that you have with them, if they can't purchase the home from you, like we said, you have 2 options. First one being you can ask them to leave and they don't get that down payment back. But if they were such a great tenant buyer over those past few years, why are you going to ask them to leave and have to do it all over again? Is finding another tenant buyer with another down payment really worth it? And is it really worth putting somebody back out on the street with less money than that they had just because they need some more time? What me and Jay do is we say, no problem, we're going to renew everything, but we're going to be now adjusting the purchase price and the rent based on what the current market is now calling for. So you can purchase the home now. If you can't, we understand, but we're now going to be adjusting the purchase price and we're going to be increasing the rent.
So that's rent-to-own in a nutshell for you guys. If you're looking to learn how to scale your portfolio using strategies like this and adding creative financing into the mix, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you like this video because you loved this content, and check out our website for all of our goodies.
Yep, absolutely. And the website is romanscreativeacademy.com.
We will see you next week, and thanks for watching.
Have a good one.
Bye, guys.